Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I've got something completely different than what I have usually. This here is a brand new AC. Unfortunately, it did have a rough time getting to me, and basically it's destroyed, it's toast. It was repackaged, and the only thing that was left from the original packaging when it got to me was this here, and it was taken from the original packaging and it was just dumped in a cardboard box, and it basically went to the tumbler getting here. But that's not the issue. Amazon refunded me like right away, and they were very friendly, and I'm going to take this one to the recyclers tomorrow because it's actually leaking. It's no longer safe to use, but, and that's the big but, this is one of those high efficiency units. It has a EER bigger than 2.4, which means that it uses the condensation from the cold side and it evaporates it over the hot side. And I've actually never seen that, so I thought I'd open it up and take a look inside, and maybe you can see something, because I've never seen it before. I don't know how they do that, how they make that happen with all the mechanics and electricity inside, if they have some simple way of doing it, if it's, I don't know, some sort of tissue or foam that they just soak. So I wanted to take a look inside. Yeah, apart from that, the thing is really small. It's 970 watt cooling power. It has 9,300 BTU. It has R290 as a coolant, which is basically a mixture of high pressure propane, butane, and isopropanol. I don't know how that works out, and the entire filling of this is 200 grams, which is quite a lot. And you can't smell this. It smells kind of like, because when it got here, I put it in the basement and you could immediately smell that something was wrong. It smells like isopropanol. It smells like soap. It's a soapish smell, and I've got one of those cheap gas sensors for gas heating and for barbecues and stuff, and I put a bag over it and I put the sensor inside, and it immediately told me that there was a heightened amount of gas in there. So this thing is gonna go in the dump, and I'm gonna get a new one. But let's just open it up and have a look inside, or let's just have a look at the unit itself. It's pretty neat. It did get a whack over on that side. It's pretty small, but really heavy, and so it's over 30 kilograms at a height of 70 centimeters. I turned it on. It makes kind of a funky noise coming from the compressor, so yeah, it's toast. I don't think that I can do anything with this. I like its looks, but that's about it. I bought this just because when we had the big summer like 5 weeks ago with almost 40 degrees here in Germany, yeah, I got a taste of getting old. I really had problems back then, and I decided, yeah, it may be expensive, it may be bad for the environment, but apparently the hot weather is getting to me a lot worse than this thing is going to do. So I'm going to try and open this thing up. I already know that some of the screws are broken on the inside, so I'll spare you that and bring you back when it's open. So the box of Pandora has been opened. I wish I had taken you along for a ride, because this thing came apart with a bang. There was just so much tension and torque on all those plastic pieces. The back kind of flew off. That was quite a scare. Now, well, so basically, move on. There's nothing to see. This here is the hot side heat exchanger, and as far as I can tell, this thing just over the time fills up with water until it's full, and there's a small pump in here which just moves the water, and apparently that's the whole thing. So either there's a reservoir in here that you can't see, and the reservoir is always heated up until the water basically boils away and takes away some of the heat, and the pump just keeps it circulating, so nothing gets stuck in there. Or there's some sort of drizzle system which makes sure that the water that is in here is always drizzled over the exchanger fins, so the water is taken away. Both is possible, but I can't get this apart. This is basically glued together. What you can see is that probably where the coolant is now leaking is somewhere along this heat exchanger, because it is actually bent in quite badly. And this is about, I took a ruler over here and it's bent in like 5 millimeters to the back. And this is also a pretty hefty heat exchanger. It's really a shame that this is broken, but I don't know what I could do with it. And the last thing that I can see is this here is the compressor, which is all sealed, and the feet down here, which hold the compressor, 2 of them have been ripped out of the plastic body, so that is where the noise was coming from. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this can be saved, but it was quite interesting. I really like those big motors and the big heat exchangers. They're really nice, but there's nothing that I can do with them. So yeah, that's quite unfortunate. Oh yeah, you can also see where all the soldering was made. It's quite a mess. Really, it's really messy in there. This is one of the cheap devices. You really have to say it that way. It is one of the really cheap devices, and you can really make it out in the way that this thing is put together. So this side of the device, apparently from, well, it has some of the poorest cable management that I've seen, because that does not belong there. And looking up here, it looks like this thing has had a rework or something. It's kind of weird. This just doesn't fit the picture that you get from the other side. This could have been done right, but this here actually has a little circuit diagram with all of the components which are on this device and which are optional and on other devices. That's kind of nice. So I'm going to take a good photograph of that one, because it might help me with the one that I'm going to get now, and if that has a fault, I can get that repaired easily without having to go all the way and reveal that side of the device, because getting to it is quite hard. Apart from that, there's nothing really interesting on this side of the device. It's not even made up with any metal struts or anything. It's just the front of the device. And if you look at the front, and I'll turn it. No, I won't. I'll turn it over just a bit. It's actually made in a way that water pools right down here, so there's no piping or anything or plumbing that makes the water go over the hot side of the heat exchanger. There's probably just some small vents down there where the water can pool and drip down, which is simple enough. I don't know how good the thermal insulation with that is, but I suppose that'll do. Yeah, it's a neat device. So with a little bit of mild persuasion, I got the front off, and looking at it, you can actually see, well, it's seen some force in the front there, but if we look down here, and I'm going to try to focus in on that, right down here, we can actually see the reservoir. This area actually fills up with water, and there's a small switch here that, and if this is actually ever filled up, it's going to turn off. So the whole thing doesn't fill up with water. There's just a small pump which circulates the water and makes it drip down the cooling fins, and that's what I thought in the beginning, or what I should have thought in the beginning, because it wouldn't fill up all the way, because if there ever was a spill, it would just pour out. There's actually a refill valve here which has been shut off. Very interesting. So basically this thing could be refilled if one ever found where the coolant is leaking. I have an idea, but I don't know where it's leaking, and I'm not going to do it. I don't really trust this stuff. This stuff really burns, and it's dangerous, and I don't want to work with this. But interestingly, so this here's where the water goes. This is where all the water related stuff happens, and it's not a lot of water that is left in here. I wonder how long it takes for this water to evaporate once this thing is really working, or if the heat exchanger gets so hot that it can just basically take away all the water that is ever in there. That would be really interesting to find out. So yeah, this here is the refill valve that I was just talking about, and apparently somebody said you could feel it if there is coolant oozing from there, and well, it's kind of sticky, but yeah, and it does have this smell of detergent or soap. Maybe it's leaking from here, I don't know. Apart from that, there's not a lot to see here. It's kind of tidy. The whole thing is really clean. Apparently these cables were never put under here. This cable routing is kind of weird. I don't know, maybe this thing had a rework. I don't really like it. It really seems cheap. Yeah, the seal here is coming off. Oh, this is this is where the little plastic part from the front went. I was wondering where that could have gone. And yeah, there's a some metal shield in here, so you can't reach inside and get your fingers into the fan. And well, that is kind of bent too. So yeah, but I think that the worst thing that actually happened is that the capacitor for the motors was kind of ripped out of here, and there's an indentation in the front part where that happened. Looks kind of funny. And maybe some of the reservoir parts at the bottom where the coolant is kept might have actually taken a hit. I don't know. The metal parts here on the side are also slightly bent, but I don't know if that was that way from the factory. No, that at that angle, probably not. Well, I suppose that is why they say just move it standing up. Yeah. So this here is the AC that I bought and almost used, but I'm not going to use that one. It's kind of a neat thing. There's a lot of technology in there, and the energy ratings of these devices keep getting better. I've already spotted one which has an ER of 3.3, which I think is extremely high. I don't know if they have any extra dehumidification of the air in there, or if they have another way of trapping more air and getting it out. It is not a heat pump. According to the documentation, it is a compressor design, but an ER of over 3 is really high. So yeah, that's it. That's the device. I'm really sorry to see it go, because it's kind of nice. But yeah, it's broken, and I'm not going to take it to pieces just for the stuff in there. Maybe somebody picks it up at the recycling station and I don't know, fixes it or sends it in to have it fixed. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.